Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, do my comic reviews for the week of February 15th, 2012. Okay, this is actually a pretty light week. I actually only have 3 comics, one from each company I usually check out. So, this week's Image comic is Super Dinosaur, number 8. Pretty short of what happens here. Pretty interesting stuff happens here. General Casey, who I think is the military liaison for the Dino Dome, arrives and tells Derek and everyone that they've captured Squidius, and Squidius has also told them that he's no longer in charge of his undersea empire, and that the Dino Man Exile has taken over. So now Exile's pretty much trying to find a way to enter Earth, which is where the Dino Dome is, by going through an active volcano. And then pretty much General Casey asks Derek and Super Dinosaur to go into action and deal with this for them. And SD says yes, but then Derek realizes that he has to have his testing today. And what testing means is that Derek has to go through this yearly test to stay out of school, because he lives in the Dino Dome and he fights evil dinosaur mutations. And the kid's a super genius, so they have to keep doing these tests to be sure he's eligible for what they call grade school exemption status. And if he doesn't pass this test, then he can't go on any missions anymore. So left with an impossible choice. SD says that Derek should stay here and take his test, but then Derek says, "Don't worry, I have a plan so I can deal with both situations at once." So basically, what happens is, after Exile discovers that the path in the volcano was blocked, and Super Dinosaur and Derek show up to fight them. Derek is pretty much controlling a robot duplicate of himself that's taking the test through a headset that he's wearing while he's dealing with Exile and the Dino Men that are on Exile's side. And basically, Derek's fighting the Dino Man Triceratops while he's pretty much trying to figure out math problems and stuff for this test. And the whole time during the fight, Triceratops is like, "Wait, what are you talking to? What are you talking about?" And then basically Super Dinosaur deals with Exile until Exile uses his power staff to cause a huge explosion in the volcano, that while Derek and Super Dinosaur survive, unfortunately the feedback of the explosion sent a signal which blocked it from the robot that Derek was controlling, and it briefly returns back into a robot mode, which the instructor of the test realizes. So now, pretty much, Derek's ruse was revealed right when we get to the end of the issue, where the volcano is getting ready to erupt, and that's where the issue ends. Now then, I think it's really interesting that they're starting to bring up the whole idea of Derek going through these tests to keep him ambitious, that he has to go through in order to stay out of school and stuff. I mean, that makes sense. I always figured that, if a kid was a super genius, he could just go through one test and boom, skip a few grades, and that would just take one test and boom, that would skip a few grades. But apparently he has to do this yearly. But Derek's a super genius, so it shouldn't be a problem. However, on a day like this where he has to save the world or pretty much take a test, it's really hard. It's really a difficult decision, and I think that's kind of a unique sort of superhero element for a kid. I mean, a kid who's a superhero, it's either save the world or deal with school stuff. And that's kind of a decision that really, at the start of the series, didn't seem like it would affect Derek, but apparently it does. And I think that's a good direction for the way they're going. And they haven't really brought up Max Maximus, who's in prison. I mean, they did briefly, but nothing else has been established on that. So basically, this is pretty much the start to what appears to be a new story arc, or more like a filler story arc, because this doesn't really seem that important. The fight with Exile, maybe, but other than that, though, nothing. If you want, this is still a very fun series. It's really more of an all ages book, and I would really and if you have kids who want to get into comics, then I would definitely recommend this book for them. More mature readers, you might be a little taken off by it, but hey, it's funny, and I like it. So, if you want to give this story a chance, then pick it up. It's great. Alright, now for Marvel. The Amazing Spider-Man 679.1. First of all, I like this cover. It's I want to say one thing about the cover, though. It's really nice how they kind of blend in the blue parts of Spider-Man's costume with the background. It's really funny. And, okay, so it's a .1 issue, so this means this is just going to be a one-shot story. Basically, another member of Horizon Labs, Big Seven, with Uatu Jackson and Peter Parker have decided to kind of figure out the identity of who's running Lab 6, which, as we learned which was revealed to the reader in Spider Island, that it's Michael Morbius, who's kind of a vampire. And when I say kind of a vampire, he's not completely a vampire. Like, he does need blood to survive, but he doesn't actually need blood, he just needs the plasma in it. So basically Michael is at Horizon because he's an old friend of Max Modell, and he's working on some sort of artificial plasma that could be used to sort of replicate blood, that could fill a ton of blood banks and be used to save lives, and also so that he can find a cure for his own mutation. And he's pretty much thinks he's found a way by using the cure from the Spider Island incident with some other blood samples. But today when Max Modell is bringing him samples of Max's own blood, Michael actually drinks some of the samples to help because he's starting to feel weak, and all of a sudden he starts to go into a bloodlust rage. And right when this happens, Spider-Man sneaks into the air ducts of Horizon Labs and gets to Lab 6, and then he sees Michael Morbius, and suddenly Spider-Man appears, and Michael freaks out, attacks Spider-Man, and leads to a big fight that brings him outside. And then Spider-Man is eventually joined by Uatu Jackson, who reveals that he's developed some sort of anti-vampire fighting equipment. I know, it's a little weird, but... Anyways, Uatu and Spider-Man are able to fight and beat Morbius, and right when they have Morbius knocked down, Max shows up, tells them to stop saying that, and reveals to all of Horizon that Michael Morbius is the guy running Lab 6, and he's also an old friend of Max's, and he's staying at Horizon because he's an old friend of Max's, and he's looking out for him and making sure that he can be cured. Then Max talks to Spider-Man and asks him, wait, did Peter Parker give you, like, security clearance and stuff? And Spider-Man says, yeah, he kind of did. And so then Max says, okay, from now on, I'm going to talk to Peter Parker about this, and also, Spider-Man, from now on, you have to sign in at the front desk at Horizon Labs if you want to show up, if you want to drop by or something. So now, the days of Peter Parker sneaking into Horizon Labs as Spider-Man and changing... So now it's definitely going to be a lot harder for Peter Parker to sneak in as Spider-Man and change into Peter Parker, because it sounds like Max is going to upgrade security. And once that's done, the issue ends with Michael back in his lab. He's calm now, and he pretty much decides that that his artificial plasma cure needs more testing. So he goes into the sewers where he finds his new test subject, the Lizard, aka Dr. Kurt Connors. And that's where the issue ends. This was a very good .1 issue. I mean, the .1s, when I first heard about them, it seemed a little ridiculous, and I thought they were just going to be like, pages of recap, but I don't know, this is it's a very great issue. These are actually pretty great, because, I mean, most of these are now just, like, one-shot stories, like how I commented on Secret Avengers 21.1, and they're just basically, like, one-shots, and they do kind of imply future storylines, because I follow Dan Slott on Twitter, and he did say that he would be planning a Lizard story arc for the Amazing Cut, so that it could come out sometime around the Amazing Spider-Man movie release. So I look forward to that, and there is definitely and the whole issue of Lab 6 is dealt with in this issue, so if that's something that, you've been wondering about since Peter worked at Horizon, I would definitely recommend this. Hell, if you've been following Spider-Man, I don't really say .1s are necessary, but this one, I would definitely recommend you pick it up, because if you're a fan of Michael Morbius, or if you've been reading Dan Slott's run since the beginning, I would definitely recommend consider getting this, because it's a very nice one-shot, very great, because it's very interesting, especially with Uatu, who apparently, it seems like each member of Horizon has their own methods to the way they use the resources. With Grady, he's a sci-fi fan, so he was into time travel, and now Uatu, apparently it's revealed in this issue, he's a big horror movie fan, and he develops equipment to fight monsters, which in the Marvel Universe actually exist. And Peter Parker, of course we all know him, he's using the equipment to help fight him as Spider-Man. Oh, and also Spider-Man is preparing for his battle with the Sinister Six, because in this issue he's working on a device that could help him fight the Rhino. Okay? So yeah, this is still a great issue. It does imply a lot of future story arcs, but it's also a nice one-shot. I would highly recommend picking it up. Alright, now for my DC comic of the week. And this is definitely one of my favorites since the New 52 relaunched the series. Batman number 6, written by Scott Snyder. Alright, where we last left off, Batman is just getting his ass beat by Talon. And the issue picks up where we left off. Talon is beating Batman right in front of the members of the Court of Owls, and suddenly the court decides to jump in and join Talon in beating Batman, and they're pretty much beating him down when he notices a picture of Alan Wayne, like a picture of his great-grandfather, Alan Wayne, sort of with this look that's just crying out for someone to save him, and that sort of reignites Batman's fire, and Batman just starts to fight back, kicks ass, and so he and Talon just go at it, and Batman is able to get the upper hand and pretty much beat Talon and kick his ass and knock him out. And once again, right when Batman knocks out Talon, he winds up exactly where the Fountain of the Maze is. Seriously, last issue Batman kept winding up at that room with the fountain in it. Now he winds up there after beating the Talon. So that leads Batman to conclude, oh, by the way, Batman's pretty much, that fight helped cure Batman's hallucinogenic problem that he had since drinking the water. He realizes that the water that's in the fountain obviously came from the Gotham River. So Batman figures the fountain must be directly above the Gotham River. So he blows a hole in the floor and jumps in and lands in the river, and he escapes. But shortly after Batman escapes, though, the Court of Owls, the court members find Talon, and they pretty much agree that they're going to dispose of him, and now they have to get a new assassin. And they pretty much say that they don't just want one assassin now, they need more. They need practically all the assassins they have on hand. And apparently the room where they keep all their assassins is the room in the maze with all those like coffins in there that we saw last issue in Batman number 5. It was apparently that's not where they keep their deceased assassins. That's apparently where they keep their assassins that are waiting to be activated. And this is all going to lead into some huge, I think in next month, the Court of Owls is going to reach out to every single Bat title, and like every member of the Batman family is going to have to fight some assassin from the Court of Owls. So, yeah. Wait, actually, I don't think it starts next month. I think it might be in May. Yeah, because they released the May solicitations, and that was in there. So I apologize. I got the date wrong. It might be in May. So, anyways, Batman number 6. Batman just goes. It's a good fight scene. Great dialogue from Batman. This is a really great title. I mean, I love Scott Snyder writing on this. I mean, I think this Scott Snyder is really becoming my favorite Batman writer now. Seriously, I thought Grant Morrison was good, but Scott Snyder, he's just, I don't know, he's taking this is just new stuff, and it's very amazing. I mean, if you've been reading this book since either Batman number 1 or when Scott Snyder started writing Detective Comics before the relaunch, you'll see how good this is, and you'll really enjoy it. Everyone else, if you're not reading this book, please pick it up. This is an amazing story. It's probably one of the few DC Comics that people have enjoyed or have liked since the relaunch. Okay, well, that's all my comic reviews for this week. That's all I have to say. Nothing else I really need to report. So I guess that's it. Quick recap. Batman number 6. Scott Snyder continues to kill it on this title. Very great fight scene between Talon and the Batman. Definitely pick it up. Amazing Spider-Man 679.1. If you haven't been reading Amazing Spider-Man, this is your jump-on point. If you've been reading Spider-Man since Dan Slott started writing this, still pick this up because it's a great one-shot story, and it does imply a lot of stuff for the future. Okay, maybe not a lot, but just a few ideas involving the Lizard and the Sinister Six. And Super Dinosaur number 8. Not necessarily something that you need to pick up. It's just a fun sort of... It's just pretty much a fun sort of all-ages book that's very nice read. Okay, and that's everything for this week. That's all I have to say. Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.